If another childless person tells me how to be a father, I'll scream. I know this is gonna get me on TikTok for sure, but here I go. If another woman tells me how to be a father, I will open my mouth and flat out scream. You can no more tell me how to be a father than I can tell you how to birth a baby. I don't know nothing about birthing a baby. I don't know nothing about nursing a child. You have to know what you don't know. Shut up being the teacher and just be the wife. How do you know how to be a father? Not only are you not a father, most of you didn't even have a father, and yet you're an expert on how to be.
Make sure you guys can hear me. Type in some ones. Let me make sure you guys can hear me. Want to make sure you guys can hear me. Because last time it was a lot of snafus, and I don't want to go through that this time. Kind of want to make sure the show goes good today. So type in some ones. Make sure you guys can hear me. One, Nancy. New software I'm trying today. So let's just hope it goes well. Like I said, last week was it was a whole lot, but I like this new one. It's pretty dope. It actually looks more professional, and I'm liking this one. So let's see if this goes well. Then hey, I might continue to use it. But anyway, you saw TD Jakes, and this thing started a whole. Thank you so much. This thing started a whole lot of conversations about Father's Day. First of all, happy Father's Day to all fathers. If you birthed a child, you are a father. I'll get into that in a minute. But it sparked a whole lot of conversation. A lot of people said they didn't like that he was so harsh and everything else. But me personally, this is how I feel about it. Father's Day is usually the one day out of the year where you are allowed to be extremely judgmental. I will say that. It's the one day where anybody could be very, very judgmental, and it's usually not any pushback. I mean, on Mother's Day, no matter what type of mother you are, I work in childcare, of course, so you know, and I see a lot of mothers I see the good mothers, I see the mothers that, I see some of everything, right? We've experienced everything. But it seems like no matter what type of mother, whether you're the mother that leaves your children, you come out the house, you look great, your children look like, little orphan Annie, or you're the type of mother that will go into a store to buy something that you don't need, leaving your children in a hot scorching car to burn to a crisp. You got that. Then you got the mothers that bring in men after men after men, and around their children, and sometimes those men are not very good people, period. Sometimes these men, they may molest your child, and you have those types of mothers that say, oh, well, I'm going to take his side, trust his word over yours. But no matter, drug addicts, even mothers out here that leave their children in the hands of people they don't know. When Mother's Day comes around and it's usually like, oh, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers. But when Father's Day comes around, it's always happy Father's Day to yada, yada, insert adverb, insert adjective. Now, I saw one post that I won't post here, but it kind of was disturbing because, like I said, it's one thing, you can say what you got to say, but why is it that on Father's Day, it's always some disclaimers, always some if you doing this and if you doing that. And so I saw one post on there and it kind of ticked me off. He said, happy Father's Day to all the real fathers out here. Only real men take care of their children. Now, to this person, I said, really? You? And I'm not going to go into their personal business, but I'm going to say this. Real men do take care of their children. I get that. But real men also keep their vows to their wives. Real men don't cheat on their wives with other women, leaving their children to be in single parents. Real men don't bring children into the world unless they are married. Real men pay their bills. Real men don't need to borrow and not pay people back. These are things that real men do. But for some reason, you choose Father's Day, and some of you people fit in this category, and you choose Father's Day to go with other men because you, quote unquote, take care of your children. No, you pay child support. Because one every other weekend is not you taking care of your children. You taking care of your children is you marrying that woman that you made a baby with. But real men supposed to marry those women or don't have babies with these women, but this is what you decide to do. So that high horse ain't so high. I think Father's Day needs to be for fathers, regardless. You have 364 other days. That's 8,016 hours. That's roughly 480,000 minutes. That's over 28 million seconds. Though you have that much time to go at the men and are not doing anything, let them have this 24 hours. Let them have this one day. Regardless if they're a good father or bad father, we got other days to talk about that. And have you ever thought that maybe if Father's Day was indeed as celebratory as Mother's Day, maybe some of these fathers would say, you know what, I could do better. I could do better. You know, maybe I could try once again for the millionth and one time to try to work it out with the mother to be involved in my child's life. You just never know anybody's story. That's why the Bible is clear. You don't judge. Because in the same measure that you judge, somebody's going to judge you on the other things. See, we're not going to have that conversation because we all love Father's Day because it makes us look so good. And you can look down while you have children by multiple women. But you take care of all your kids, but you leave them in single parent households. That's not what a real man does. So you can save that. All right. Anyway, just wanted to go there. Now I want to start something. A friend of mine sent me this and I saw this post, but I wanted to discuss it real quick. He said, Lawrence Jones is a great guitar player. Great guitar player. Probably one of our most premier gospel guitarists. I would say that. But he said church musicians, it's okay to play it like the record, like it was recorded. All of these nuances as well, they are there for a reason. And I agree with Lawrence in that. Only thing I disagree in is that every church has a sound. And every band has a different sound. Me having played countless records and songs and singles and everything in gospel music, I say this to all the bass players and I say all the time, I want to hear your interpretation. You don't need to play it like I did. Some things are there for a reason, but they're not necessarily end all be all. I want to hear your interpretation because you're not playing for the artist I play for. That's the only time in my opinion, this is just my opinion, that's the only time it really matters that you play it like the record. When you're at your own church, you're at your own gig, you playing with your own people, your interpretation is fine. I don't have a problem with it. I don't care. As long as you play, the accents make sense and everything, even if it doesn't to me, you are expressive. That's the great thing about music is particularly gospel music. You are able to be expressive. You are able to say, oh, I want to play this in this way. What up, Sam? I agree with you in that regard. But anyway, yeah. So as it relates to, singing, playing, the presentation in your own church, do it your way. Do it your way. You don't have to play it the New G way. You don't have to play it whatever artist, insert artist. You don't have to play it that way in your church. You can play it the way that, you want to express. I'm not going to chop you. I encourage you, young musicians, old musicians in your church. I encourage you. I listen to a lot of your streams. I actually, if it's live on my time feed, I'll take a second or two and listen to your stream, and I want to hear what you guys play. So when when I can actually hear people playing songs that I've recorded, I'm like, oh, I know this song and I'm interested in hearing your interpretation. I want to hear you switch some of this stuff up. I want to hear it. That's great. I think that's great for gospel music. I think it is. So I don't have a problem with that. Okay. So I saw another post I don't understand some people. It's like no matter what we do, fellas, no matter what is said good about us, I said this. It's like almost an attack on us. That's what we're gonna talk about. I don't know why. That's the only thing I didn't like, that it didn't save my my title of my show. I'll find a way around that. But anyway, yeah, I saw this post and I thought it'd be interesting to bring this up real quick. It said you treat a man good and he ain't gonna see no other female but you. He not gonna see no other female but you. And you know the sisterhood lit this up. And they did not disappoint, because when it came, it's like one lady laughing, he's still gonna cheat, and one lady says it's a lie. It's a delay on the video. Oh no. What my voice is before, it's like a lag. It's like a lag. Oh no, I hope that's not it, because I'm liking this new app. Let me know if it's an issue. Is it like a lag or something? Okay, you're good on my end. Okay, I don't know. He said I'm good on his end. I'm just gonna continue. If somebody else says it, then I'll go, because I'm looking at my. Yeah. Okay. Good. Good. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, this was funny to see that. Let me say this, because I was watching this show before while I was trying to finish up setting this show up. Okay. I was watching this show called Married at First Sight, right? And I've noticed one lady, she's with this guy, I think his name was Zach. And I noticed that she had issues. And I was kind of mad at them because they hooked the brothers up with some psychotic chicks. This woman said, I never healed. She literally said, I never healed from my father's death. I mean, she got on him for getting up and leaving the house to walk the dogs. He got up and walked the dogs, and she literally freaked out. Man, I was like, you can't make this up. Like, and the other dude, the bald head, muscular dude, they hooked him up with some psychotic chick. He was like few days in and hadn't even received a kiss from this woman. You can't make this shift up. But here's my thing is to this. If you feel this way, where no matter what a man does, you feel like he's still gonna cheat. Now, I'm gonna tell you again, if you're not married, it's really not cheating. It's exploring other options. But that was last week. We may go back to that. But still, these women were so psychotic. And I'm wondering, are they hooking up the brothers? What are they trying to say? Now, I always, over here, I don't pull any punches as it relates to the sisters. I love you to death, but we got some work to do. But at the end of the day, why would you purposely choose unhealed people? Didn't tell this man, that's why I chose her for you. What? What? You hooked me up with this crazy broad? Now, I'm only in episode like 7. I'm going to finish it when I get off of here. But I thought that was crazy. It was crazy. Listen, I'm okay. But if I should ever go on that show and you hook me up with a crazy woman, it's episode 1. The older I am, I can sense this stuff right away. I'm sensing vibes. It's like, man, where was these kids? Fellas, be honest. When you got older, you looked at this stuff and you said, man, why I didn't see this stuff when I was younger? It's like you get older. That's why we are a perfect age. In your 35s and older, we're the perfect age to get married at that point, because we see so much clearly than we did when we was younger. Because when we was younger, we was like, oh, God, she's pretty. Let's go, this. But now you older, you take your time, you can read these things, and hopefully, well, there's some simps out here, but hopefully you're not ignoring the red flags out here. But I looked at the show as red flags on episode 1. I told Miss Lynn, I said, this episode 1 is crazy. Episode 1. But that wasn't the only thing that happened. Y'all probably heard about this story. The Home Depot. Did I touch on this last week? I don't think I stayed long if I did, but this story blew up over the week. The lady to the left, I don't even know her name, but she's a very pretty woman. And she posted the pictures. Well, it was just not that picture, but her Home Depot. This is a very attractive woman. It got a lot of traction, even attention from Shaquille O'Neal. And I'm going to go into that. Is it here? This is her. This is some of her other pictures. She's a gorgeous woman, nice shape and everything, right? Very nice. But the sisterhood, the LD crew went at this woman because of the attention that she was getting, because she left a post saying how she don't need to go on OnlyFans and everything. And I got a video that pretty much would explain to you why she's not that person to do that. Why she's not the person to do that. Here's a video. Let's watch.
I just wanted to come on here, as y'all probably know me as the Home Depot girl, the girl who went viral, and just talk about how God is really testing my life right now and just testing my faith and trying to keep my patience in him and just trust that there's a bigger thing coming out of all this. Since I blew up on the internet, I have had so much backlash, good and bad. Like, it's been a lot of good, but you know, you also have that percentage of bad. Like, everybody on Twitter.
Stop. Is it a such thing as good backlash? I just want to know. Is it a such thing as good backlash? Wait a minute. Jeremy says she doesn't even work at Home Depot. Is that what you're saying? Okay. Let's continue. Oh no, not.
I just wanted to come on here, as y'all probably know me as the Home Depot girl, the girl who went viral, and just talk about how God is really testing my life right now and just testing my faith and trying to keep my patience in him and just trust that there's a bigger thing coming out of all this. Since I blew up on the internet, I have had so much backlash, good and bad. Like, it's been a lot of good, but you know, you also have that percentage of bad. Like, everybody on Twitter hates me for what? I don't know. Like, I literally don't know, just because I stood up for myself, and that's fine. And then Instagram's really cool. And then, you know, other situations that have happened throughout this whole process that have just kind of been crazy. But I literally had to kind of quit my job in this process because of how much I grew and how many people actually seen this. And people were illegally doxing my address and also figuring out where I worked, because, you know, I did have my school in my bio, also my location on Twitter, and Home Depot. So if you put math together, like, people started figuring stuff out. So now I'm gonna have to probably move and just, you know, kind of relocate and start fresh. And I just feel like I just am grateful to God because this opportunity gives me a chance to start over. I also gained a platform, and that means a lot to me because I work really hard making, you know, my faith, lifestyle, beauty, and fashion content. So this kind of helps me go towards that direction. But it's also scary because I actually haven't received like any type of brand deals or anything like that. A lot of people think that like my net worth is going to flip now because of fame. That's not how it works. It just kind of, it's unmotivating, but I have faith that God is gonna make all of this work out in my favor. So yeah, some doors had to close, but I also know God is going to make a lot of doors open in my favor. So I'm just taking it with the winds, taking the punches, you know, smiling through all this, praying, and just knowing that God has me.
So you have heard what she had to say. Now, this doesn't appear to be a bad woman at all. Seems like she look like she can hold her own. I know there's another gear. I can sense that. I'm pretty sure you get on her wrong side, she can bring it. It just call it intuition, call it whatever, but I just see that. But she's a very nice looking woman. I don't understand why people feel like they needed to go with her. But it started a whole conversation. Started a whole conversation, mostly because Shaquille O'Neal slid in her inbox. Shaquille O'Neal slid in her inbox, and this is what really sparked the conversation for last week. I got into a couple of them. One of them was the most confusing conversation I ever had on Facebook. It was by far one of the more confusing ones. But as you can see, Shaq shot his shot. Now, fellas, we know. Tell your boyfriends, tell all your boyfriends I said hello. That's the oldest trick in the book. Man, why you ain't got no boyfriend? Why you ain't got a man yet? Come on now. Come on. Because we know Shaq, when he saw this woman, we knew he had one thing in mind. He had one thing in mind. And that was it. He was trying to smash. That's what he had in mind. Seriously. But anyway, it started a whole conversation. And one person said this: modern women swear their master's and doctorate degrees matter. Most men would be happier with a woman like this that works at Home Depot as long as she is fit and friendly. What up, Jaden? As long as she is fit and friendly. Then another post said this: so Home Depot girl got Shaq's attention. The millionaire Shaq is checking for a chick that works at Home Depot. We'll deal with Trick Daddy Shaq later. The moral to the story is what we've been confirming since Kevin Samuel said out loud. Guys who got their S together, the men actually want is not checking for your education and economic accomplishment. If you look at her in your own way, you have set respect, influence, not the subculture. You're eligible for any man you want. You put your position for these dudes. A millionaire, close to a billionaire, will date a Home Depot girl. Meanwhile, a woman making over $100,000 won't even date a bus driver. I promise I don't want smoke. That's what he ended with. He promised he didn't want smoke. But guess what? I do. I want the smoke because this is what I'm saying. He's absolutely right because this is what I've been saying about this from day one. From day one. Now, average earning men making $46,000, which is the average. Those types of men, they usually are very accepting and warm and welcoming to every flaw that you may think you could present to them. But as you start to go up, as a man starts to level up, he notices that his value goes up and his options go up. And so we don't care so much about how much you make initially. When we first see you and we first talk to you, we could care less about your economics. We could care less about your degrees. That's not what we picked you for. We saw men are visual. Why y'all keep thinking we're not? And then you try to shame us because, oh, that's shallow. No, God made us this way. It's funny to me, though. You can say God made you perfect in your own way when you come up 300 pounds with red hair and eyelashes that when you blink, my car starts to horn and honk and burglarize like, every time you blink, my car is scared because it's thinking somebody's trying to get into it. But you say God made me this way. But our natural instincts, what attracts men to women, God made us that way. And it starts with your beauty. Why can't you understand that? So when men say we will listen, y'all backed up that one chick that said she won't even marry a bus driver unless he ready to own the bus. And everybody said, "Oh, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about." But men on that same level don't care that we would be happy and get a chick that work at Burger King. Take her in our home. Encourage her, support her as she is probably aspiring to do more. You know, we would be happy. We would be more likely to date that woman than you would a man working at Burger King. And that's no cap. There's no cap. If you're the kind of person that would say that, oh no, that's not true, then I have to look at you side eye. I have to look at you side eye because that's been proven time and time again. But it almost makes me wonder, because I've been noticing something that's been happening in social media, on media, and it's almost like, fellas, they're not even trying to hide it. It's a direct attack on us. And usually it starts with the level of hypocrisy that we see. It is so much hypocrisy. Because a woman can say, she won't date a man, and if he makes less than her, she still feels like he still should pay the bills. He still should take care of her. And then they are applauded. Check this out.
Right. We're going to have to figure out how we're going to live off this $50,000.
Whoa.
Wait, hold on a second, because it must have been some loud noise up in there.
I think it was
The math got to do.
Yeah. The woman is making 150 and the man is making 50. Chris stated that we need to figure out how we're going to live off this 50. Is that what you said?
We going to be together, right?
We know all that. We trying to figure out these numbers.
I don't know if I'm missing it a little bit.
You make 150.
I make $150,000.
I make $50,000.
You make $50,000.
And
my money is inconsequential to this relationship.
Y'all seeing this, right? This is one of the main. Now you're hearing this not from a man. Now you're hearing why men usually that make $150,000, why they won't care. They won't care about your degrees. You want to know why? Because no matter what you make, and you wouldn't believe the women in that comment section saying that's right. You would not believe this. Because you won't even date him, and you think that you can keep your money and his. He should pay all the bills. He should do all of this. We're going to figure out how to live off his money, but I'm going to keep my 150. This is why we don't care about your money. We don't care about your degrees. We don't care about any of that. I'll send it to you. Wait a minute. No, you sent it. No, not you. It wasn't you, Rashawn. It was somebody else. I thought it was you. It was Junior that sent this to me. I'm going to send it to you when I'm done. Don't let me forget. Hit my inbox. Let's continue.
In marriage, we only talking about marriage. Boyfriend, girlfriend don't have
I'm glad she
financial
said
benefits.
that, though. I'm glad she said that. So,
But we ain't bringing up money. It's just,
You did.
this is the man
You
right
kept
here.
talking about
Like, why is
$50,000?
your money and not our money?
It can be our money. I'm not going to just be around here like stunting and flossing with my money.
Right, but
Our lifestyle is going to be based off of what he can, if we together, like, let's just be real. If we together, if I make $150,000 a year and I'm with a man that makes $50,000 a year, this is a choice that we've both made. Obviously, he knows what I make. Obviously, I know what he makes. I'm not getting ready to play money games with a man because y'all get very sensitive when it comes to finances. So, because of that fact, we gonna figure out what we gonna do with this 50.
You absolutely cannot make this up. Are you guys listening to this? Fellas, what are we gonna do about this? This is the dynamic of what we have to deal with now. Where you making your money and I'm just gonna boss up while you struggle. I'm not even gonna lift a finger to help you. Well, most of the time they just want a man that's pretty much can do that. A lot of them are hypergamous anyway, so they want you to make that 150,000, not knowing it's less than 10% of men, all men, especially black men, that make that kind of money. But they all think they qualify for that man because they have degrees, they have money, and we've shown you time and time again, we don't care about that. So now you got this hair hat sitting on the couch telling you, I'm gonna make my 150, where together we would have made 200,000 and been dope. No, we're gonna live on your 50,000, and I'm just gonna save up my cash. You can't make this shift up. You can't make this up. He said, that's why Becky, he said, that's why Becky and the side chicks win. I'm just saying, what can you do at this point? What can you do at this point? I just feel like there is an attack on us, fellas. And I know I said it, but it's like so clear. Let me show y'all something. Last week, I started on this story about this Mariah Mills chick that's been dating this basketball player named Zion Williamson. She's still going at him. She's still going at him. This was the 16th. You're going to eat that. Look at this. Look at the stuff that she's saying to him. Look at the stuff that she's saying to him on Instagram. But y'all ready for it? Y'all ready for it? This was today. This was today. Z can't just come to the internet and start blasting me. It will mess with his endorsements, etc. And they have clauses in their contract. So she's admitting she's going at this man, knowing he can't really say anything because it'll mess up his contracts. He's not a ghetto rapper or reality star. He can't move like he's an NBA star. So stop with the why hasn't he responded? My tweet BS. Trust, he reads all my tweets. And then she tags him. It's private. Like I told y'all, he mad at me for coming to the internet, but he betrayed me. So here's my thing. This is why I say this is an attack on us, because it leads with hypocrisy, which is where I'm on right now. Hypocrisy. If this woman right here, this snaggletooth right here, this woman that's shaped like a golf club because she got all those BBLs, which is another thing that men don't like, but you continue to do it. I haven't seen a BBL in person right now that I actually thought was, oh, that's a wonderful thing. No, it looks really, really bad. But this woman, y'all ready for the tea? This woman is 32 going on 33. Zion Williamson is not even 23 yet, if he may have just made 23. Flip this around. If it was a 33-year-old man on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter bashing this woman who was 22 years old, all like this, tagging her businesses because she tagged the New Orleans Pelicans, tagging her businesses and everything, y'all know the internet would explode. He's 22. Thank you, Scrutinize. If you knew, if you saw this happening, you know the internet would explode. Why is he doing that? There would be lawsuits. There would be banning on social media. It would make the news. It would be an explosion. But here she's allowed to do whatever she wants to do to this man, and nobody says anything. And when men say something about it, we are ashamed. Why is that? You say, oh, Derek, you know, there is no agenda against men. There's nobody bashing men. You know good and dang on well, if when Michael B. Jordan and Lori, whatever her name is, Harvey, broke up and he took to Twitter and started bashing her, he would never, ever work again. They will light him up and say, no, we won't work with you again. We don't deal with men that deal with women like that. We don't do that. But men, I guess, was like, we don't have emotions. So you can just go and say whatever you want to us. You can't make this up. This woman is 33 years old, and somebody else said something, and here's the thing. I agree with what he said here. Listen.
Everyone keeps glossing over this because everyone's trying to make Zion Williamson out to be an embarrassment, but I believe him to be a victim. Nobody ever wants to talk about how these grown women are preying on young athletes because they have money and an opportunity to come up on someone that they believe to be impressionable. Zion Williamson is 23 years old and I think has upwards of $100+ million. What is a 23-year-old man with $100 million gonna do?
Other than Chase Buns.
You know what I'm saying? Other than Chase Buns. Most niggas, when they 18 to 25, don't even have $100 million in what they doing.
Fact.
Chasing buns. Now I got $100+ million and the world is my oyster, for a lack of better words. Just like LaMelo Ball, Anna Montana, his girlfriend, she's 30-something years old. This nigga was 19. Why nobody talking about that? PJ Washington and Brittany Renner, like all these other situations. So I'm like, why is no one talking about how these grown-ass women are preying on these young men and then we trying to embarrass them like, this what you had me doing? This nigga's a victim. I don't care what y'all say.
I agree. Zion Williamson is a victim. And because it's a woman, he can't say anything. I watched this situation happen with Ime Udoka, where he was actually in trouble because of something he did. He had an affair with one of the Boston Celtics, whatever ladies that worked there. To date, we haven't seen or heard from her. In a mutual, consensual, sexual, or whatever relationship, they blew him up, got him fired, everything else. You read about him, and even on ESPN, it started this whole little situation. Like I saw this whole situation. And to date, they still you haven't seen her. We don't know what she looks like. We don't know her name. But the man was able to be destroyed. Destroyed. And the hypocrisy doesn't end because this happened. Let me ask y'all this. If that was her husband and a stripper from Magic City with the best wings in Atlanta, don't ask me how I know, but came out and started dancing and putting those tiggle bitties or jagoombas in his face. And he started like, oh, I'm going to take my ring off. How do you think that would have been handled? Do you think they would have said, congratulations, that's funny? No. Because women are allowed to embarrass their husbands. Doesn't matter what you say about them. Oh, he's not good in bed. Oh, he doesn't satisfy me. It doesn't matter. But the second you say it about them, it's a problem, especially with the, as scrutinized would say, the little sisters. I say the LD crew, but it doesn't matter. If you say anything about them, oh, you're bashing black women. Oh, you should no. But you have no problems. And here's the thing. Even when we are expressing what we need from you, you still treat us like trash. And then you wonder. Now, I don't go there, but you wonder why some of these dudes are getting their passports and saying, we don't want to deal with you. The agenda is clear, fellas. This is why I'm telling you, get yourself together. No matter what mistakes you made, no matter what errors in judgment you made, there's always, as long as you got breath in your body, another day where you can turn that around and do better from this point, where you can develop some skills that can project you to where you want to be, where you can pick the Home Depot chicks that look like that one, where you can have your choices of women. Well, even if you couldn't, your confidence will be such at a point where you're saying, hey, she missed out on a good thing, and you know she did. See, they'll tell you missed out on a good thing and be 300 pounds and with a bonnet on at Walmart at 4 p.m. But you'll know, you're thinking your bank account, you're thinking how you are with women, how you would treat them, and you're saying she did miss out. It's time for fellas, for us to level up. It's time for them to come to us. It's time for, well, as far as come to us, you're supposed to approach them. But it's talking about as far as standards, as far as level. It's time for them to come to us. Start even, listen, today, say when we get off this live, say, hey, today, whatever you desire to do, whatever skills, whatever research you need to do to develop yourself and get to another level, that's what you need to be doing. Don't just think it's going to be just music that's going to propel you. It's not. Find other skills that you got. Many of you that I've spoken with, you have other skills. You have other skills. And it just doesn't have to be music. You are oversaturating this market. Everybody's doing the same thing. Is it a big pie? Yes. But they're lying to you if they say everybody can eat. That's a lie. There is no economic industry, there is no business where everybody can eat. There are winners and there are losers. So you can't oversaturate a market and think you're going to win. Find the other skills that you can do that separates you from everybody else. I chose IT. I chose computers. I chose problem solving. That's what I chose. That may not be your path. Maybe you can build things. You know, maybe you're good at organizing. Maybe you're good with money. You can go into finances. But right now, fellas, it's time for us to level up. Even though we have historically over the last few years, I'm talking to really level up. Take it to another level or stop complaining about the women you have choices with. All right, Preacher's Going Wild 75. We just gonna jump right into it. Listen, some of you, y'all gonna be like, oh God, what's happening here? Have you ever been to a church? Like, I remember the first time I went to a charismatic church and I felt really, really out of place. I felt really out of place. I grew up Pentecostal, third generation Kojic, one generation PAW. So I grew up in Pentecostal. You know, if you ain't shouting, you ain't having church. But I've never felt out of place like this. I've never seen anything like that. He was really, really confused, y'all. He was like, oh God, what am I doing here? He never even he just stood there. He never clapped. Have you ever felt that out of place in the church? Like, I don't dislike or like Biden, but this was I felt sorry for him because he was so out of pocket, just standing there like, what's going on here? That was crazy, but not as crazy as this. I get really animated when I play. If you ever watch one of my lives, I haven't been live on base. I'm in a while, but like if you watched our service and they put the camera on me, I'm pretty much just in it. But my chair. Now, Marcel, that Trump was worse. Trump was like, at least he had a beat. This was worse than Trump, I would say. But this dude literally fell out his drum seat. It was rewarding because I thought he was doing a little too much. But still, man, I don't know. This to fall out your drum seat means you was really, really into it. You was dad. But you know what? To be honest with you, if you go back and watch our live from yesterday, Powerhouse Chicago, Bishop William Hudson, we had our Father's Day service, and a lot of times the men sing, and you know they like to do the quartet. And both our keyboard player and our organs and our drummer was standing. I looked at them. I was like, I'm not standing. No, not today. But they were standing. And so I'm wondering, in my mind, it was one instance. I was like, this is setting up for something really, really bad to happen. Thank God nothing really happened, but I just knew something bad was gonna happen. That's what I thought. But no. But yeah, sometimes in church you playing your instrument, you in the vibe, you know, you get too, hasty or whatever, you get too hyper, I should say, and you fall, but nothing like that. But anyway, listen, will this be a new fad is the question I want you to ask yourself. So, the thing is, I don't have a problem with this. This look like electric slide, like they both doing the same move. I don't have a problem with this. Now, I want to ask you, do you have a problem with this? Do you think this was too much, them dancing the same way in front of the church or whatever? I personally didn't. I didn't have a problem with it. I mean, it's just me. I didn't have a problem with it. Like, this one video where they took it was a group of men. They were at a wedding and they were dancing. I think they were from an Arabic nation or whatever. They were Muslims and they were celebrating their wedding. And the wedding starts with the men dancing all in one line with the oldest. The elders are always at the end, right? And so they was like moving in, and somebody put one of these songs, a quartet song on there. I thought that was very, very, and we are so freaking creative. But yeah, I'm looking at that. I'm like, okay, this is how they do in their, ceremonies or whatever. Why can't we, why do we have to be so wow, like y'all would have no problems with somebody running around the church with they weave and hair extensions flying everywhere. You'd be like, she was praising God. But if people dance and they have, they dancing and they're enjoying service and they doing it at the same time, pause, and now you have a problem with that? Rather than the hot chicks, yeah. Well, see, the thing is, I hear what you're saying, Rosie. You said, is it genuine? I mean, I don't know. I think only God and they know. But I mean, that would be a good lie, but I'm going to say this right now. Well, it's a question. Can't you just praise God? Like when I play bass, I'm not under no esoteric spell when I play bass. Sometimes, you feel the power. Sometimes you feel the quote unquote anointing, but most of the time you play because you enjoy praising God with your instrument. You enjoy singing. So if we could just sing songs of rejoicing songs, we don't necessarily have to be under a trance to do that. Why can't we dance the same way? That's just my question. I could be wrong. This is how I feel. James says, why we got to be extra. I agree. Sometimes we can be extra like this.
Mother wasn't having it.
Hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right.
What was he doing? Well, now that was extra. Like, That's what he looked like. That's what he looked like he was doing. That's what it looked like he was doing. I don't know what that was about, but that was extra. The video that I showed you before with the ladies dancing, I don't think that was extra. This video was extra. It was extra. Anointing and praise are two totally different things. We can have a live on that, and I agree. I definitely agree. And who is screaming milk? Well, I was hoping you didn't see that. I was hoping that you would have missed that. Because I was like, wait, what? You know what? This is what we doing? But now let's get now. Okay. I agree. It's the same as clapping and stomping. It won't always be under the trance. That's what I'm saying. Thank you, sweetheart. You know, I just think that sometimes when you come to church, you just praise God. You can just praise. Praise God on whom all blessings flow. That's what y'all want. Praise him, all creatures here below. That's what you want. Or some of you want that. That's what you want. But if you got somebody that just want to praise in their way and her friends comes up and they do their thing that they may have been practicing, I don't have a problem with it. I don't. I mean, that's just me. Call me weird. Call it whatever. It is to me. Oh, I called you sweetheart. I thought you was Miss Lynn. My bad. No, super duper pause. Yeah, I know. Yeah. Now let's get serious. I'm mad that it didn't leave the title of my Preachers Gone Wild, but I want to discuss something that's really, really serious before we move on and end this show. We, as Pentecostals especially, Church of God in Christ, PAW, Cool JC, PCAF, you know, we tend, not us, not you, not the crew, the squad, but we, as church people, we tend to be really, we exhibit religious discrimination, where even within each other, we have issues where Kojic and PAW, they don't like us because we believe in Father, Son, and Holy Ghost, and we may not like them because they believe in Jesus only. There's been like this thing, and it's been like a bashing. But you're going to see something that takes that to a whole nother level, courtesy of Gino Jennings.
All of you PAW followers, I was under Bishop Ellis. You that left Bishop Ellis. You that's in UPC. Both of y'all are twin sisters. You believe the same lies. Don't have to cover your head, and women can preach and divorce and remarry. Bishops and elders and pastors with 2 and 3 wives. The Bible says, come out of her, my people. Come out. I want to say to all of you here in Washington and every place else, leave the United Pentecostal Church and leave the Pentecostal assemblies of the world, leave the assemblies of God, leave the Church of God in Christ, leave all of them. If you're a pastor, minister, bishop, elder, evangelist, leave them. Or be stubborn and stay there and die and go to hell. God ain't never called women to preach. That goes for you too, Bishop. I'm talking about you and your wife. All of you that got women preachers, if she don't sit down, she's going to go to hell in her pumps.
Wow. I mean, what can you say after that? What can you say? I mean, wow. He just went it up, pretty much all of us. And so my question was, okay, leave them and go where? Do we know the answer to that? Or do I have to tell you? That means go to his church or a church he's approving of. You just can't make this up. I think this is his 5th time making Preachers Gone Wild. And it's going to be a 6th. I'm telling you right now, I already got it on deck. I just ain't doing it this week. It's going to be a 6th. Because he just keeps saying stuff that makes things like, why would you say that? I think sometimes we miss the point. We miss the point about how you draw people. Because if I'm in error, show me. Show me in scripture, not what you yelling, which bring me to my point that I've said before. Don't go to his church trying to debate him. He will never come to your church to debate you. But he'll set up shop where he got home field advantage and debate you where he can hear that like this idiot that was, yeah, yeah. That's what he wants. His amen corner. But dude, what do you have against? We may differ in our theology. We may differ in the way we interpret scripture. But I like to think that we all love God. I like to think that we all serve Christ. I'd like to think that this is what we do. I would like to think that. And because you are saying you do that, I'm not going to let some difference or my interpretation of scripture to be something that would cause a wedge between us. Come together, let's reason. And maybe I can understand why you accept the scripture or how you came to this conclusion with scripture, and I can show you, hopefully you can hear me. But I don't think the way is to tell them you're going to go to hell. I think that's way too far. But we do that within each other. This is what happens in our churches. Amongst each other, when I say our churches, I mean the whole body. It's no Pentecostal. There is no Church of God in Christ. We're all supposed to be in one. We're all supposed to see as one. We're all supposed to move as one. We're supposed to have one man, one sound. Let me see what you're saying, TK. I just don't understand. Oh, Star sent my brother. Okay, it doesn't let me know that you sent stars. What's up, my boy? That's a man, good man right there. TK, look, I got to have him on my show one time, man. Y'all gonna love him. Y'all would love TK. He's a barber, but he's a pastor. And that's, remember, I was telling you guys earlier to have other things that you do outside of what we do, ministry or whatever it is. You have different forms of income. But this man is the epitome of that. I have great respect for him. Great respect for him. Go give him a follow and go check out his church. Look, hey, I never got a chance to tell you, and I know I'm veering off, but I love what you are doing at your church, Pastor TK. I love what you are doing. I love the vibe of it, man. The way you go about doing it, it is so needed. So needed now, man. I just want you to say, I wanted to say to you, keep doing your thing, man. Keep doing it. Keep letting God use you and direct you, man, because you're doing something great over there, man. I can't even lie. Yeah, man, I got to get you on here, man. You know what? Let's talk. But yeah, I just feel like sometimes with us, we tend to split hairs. We'll take a scripture. And one thing he lost me when he said women shouldn't be preaching. I understand where you get that from. Those Corinthians, we all know that. But just between us, just the squad, aren't women great effective preachers in 2023 in the 21st century? Aren't there some great preachers that are women? Just for me, because I'm thinking it is. I know a few. Pastor Lady Hudson is one of them. I don't have a problem with a woman preaching. What is the problem there? And if you're one of the men that say women should not be preaching, I'm interested in hearing you at a later date. But I'm saying I want to know just right now, just type it in the comment section, what's the problem with women preaching? We're not talking about leadership right now. I'm talking about preaching. Show me where women cannot preach effectively, because some of you men put me into a slumber because I'm not on milk. And you keep trying to milk me to death. No, if I want milk, I could go to the breast. I don't need to hear you speak to me like I'm a child. So you put me in the slumber. I don't want to hear Daniel Lyons Den unless he finally ate him. I don't want to hear it. But these ladies, the women that I enjoy hearing, they actually teach. I like to hear them. I don't understand the issue there. Maybe I could have a panel of women preachers and a panel of men and talk about this thing. But most of the men that I associate with don't have a problem with it. It's only some men. And you, no offense to my brothers, because you know I'm pro with you. I'm right there with you. This is a male platform. But some of you you have some issues. You have some deep issues that you need to work out because somebody somewhere whooped that thing on you so hard to now your nose is so wide open that you breathing Cadillacs. And so you can't fathom a woman doing anything but under your thumb, but your thumb is so weak because you are broken. So your thumb can't even hold a Nintendo controller, but you want to try to control a woman. Something is wrong with you. So I won't hear your advice until you get some help. I won't listen to you because you have a vendetta against women, whether they preach, whether they sing, whether they breathe, whether they do anything but what you want them to do. And the only thing you want them to do is, that's the only thing you want. I'm liking this new one. This is so funny. I just can't understand that. What up, Chris? What up, my boy? Chris Terry has joined the live. This is one of my friends, man. He comes on the platform a lot. Pause. And I just don't understand that. And I understand some of you have a problem with women in leadership, but we're not talking about leadership right now. That's a whole nother conversation. I'm talking about delivering the word of God. What is the issue? When I look at some of these churches, I walk in and I don't see a whole lot of men up in there. Who do you think should teach at this point? The children? No, I don't understand the problem. See, I'm not intimidated by a woman preaching. And trust me, you know me personally, there is nothing beta about me. But sometimes when you are alpha, being in a leadership position or being raised as a leader, smart men who are leaders understand when it's time to let her speak. You can let her speak. We shouldn't be that way. I don't know. I veered there, but I saw something else. What up? What up? What up, Unc? But I saw something else, and I'm going to end Preachers Going Wild with this. We had to get serious for this moment, but this is crazy. I want us as believers not to shun other belief systems. I have people who, I was teetering. I told y'all about that. So, but these people, they still good people. Some of them are still on my friends list. A lot of them, pretty much all of them, that are atheists. I have Muslims. I have people who don't go to church but say they have a relationship. I have people that are Hebrew Israelites. I have a whole lot of people, and I respect everybody, and I think that's the way we should project ourselves to be. We don't have to shun people down, but you're about to see something, and we're going to break this down. Let's go.
I looked over in the corner of the airport, and I saw a black man who was a Muslim reading the Quran. So I walked over to this.
I'm going to say that's cap. How did you know he was Muslim? How you know he was reading the Quran? What was you doing? You could see that high with them. Maybe with them super trifocals he could, though. But I ain't even going to hold you. But let's go.
Muslim brother who was reading the Quran. And when he looked up, I extended my hand to him. I said, "Sir, what is your name?" He said, "My name is Yusuf Nuri Muhammad." I said, "Well, my name is Johnny James Jesus." I said, "I noticed you're reading your book, the Quran." And I had a little small Bible just like this, only it was black. I took my little black Bible and I laid it right on top of his Quran. And I said to the Muslim, "My book is better than your book."
Yes or no? Was he right in doing this? Yes or no? Was he right in doing this? That's what I want to know. I'm going to continue.
I said, "My book is better than your book." Now, if you know anything about Muslims, you know They don't play that. He stood up. I didn't know he was that size. He was tall like tree and black like bear. He had muscles everywhere. I said, sit down, brother. It's going to be all right, brother Yusuf Nur Muhammad. I said, but my book is better than your book. I said, read in your book the 6th surah, verse 1. The Quran calls the chapter surahs. It has 114 surahs. The Quran calls the verses ayahs. It has about 6,339 ayahs. I said, read the 6th surah, verse 1. He was fumbling and he took too long. I got nervous, so I said, look, man, it says, all praise be unto Allah, the creator of the heaven and the earth. When he found it, he said, that's what it says. I said, I know that's what it says. That's your book. I say, but my book said in Genesis 1:1, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth.
Who's going to tell him? Are you going to tell him, or should I tell him? I know I've said it before, and some people don't believe it, but they all call Abrahamic religions. Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. I mean, I hope you guys understand that. They all purport to worship the same God. I know that messed you up. It really did. I know. And I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show you how you're not supposed to do this. This is going to be educational for all of us. All right, here we go.
He said, ain't that the same thing? I said, no, man. Your book said Allah. Mine said God. I said, don't you know that Allah came out of heathenism? Allah was the name of the pagan moon god. Why?
That's false. See, this is what I'm saying. That's absolutely false. Hebrew, my Hebrew Israelite brothers, I think Chris Terry, you still watching. What is the name for God in Hebrew? I'll wait for you. If anybody want to type it, what is the name of God in Hebrew? Not his real name, the name for God, the pronoun, the title God. What is the name in Hebrew? Somebody type it real quick. I'll wait. La, 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 la. I'm going to give you a few seconds because I know there's maybe a delay. Somebody got to know this. Well, that's okay. John is way ahead of. No, that's Chris. That's his real name. I'm talking about the God, the title, the pronoun. We know his real name, but what is it called? I'll give you a hint. It starts with an E. Starts with an E. You say the Hebrew name for the word God, right? We know Adonai, that's Lord. What is the other one? It starts with an E. I'm waiting on you. This is going to be educational. That's why I'm taking my time with this before we move on. Elohim, thank you. Elohim is the Hebrew name for it. Elohim, right? But if you Arabic, you don't say Elohim. So if you Arabic, what are you saying? Are you going to say, you would say Allah. That has nothing to do with the moon. The moon is because Islam is based on the lunar cycle. It's a whole other thing that I learned in world religions that has nothing to do with no moon god. It doesn't. Just like the Christian, they days and nights end on like their first day, right? When they talk about the first day, that is not Sunday morning. That is actually Sunday night. So the Israelites, they had a whole different system. And the cross that you guys love wasn't the symbol. So you want to talk about paganism? You sure you want to go there? You just don't do it. But let's continue, because it gets worse.
You think the Islamic flag has a moon slice and a star because they worship the sun moon, and stars, and Islam was founded on that principle, and Allah was the pagan moon god, and God told Israel in the 4th chapter of Deuteronomy, verse 32, don't worship the sun, moon, or stars. I say your book has a false.
And the one thing I found so troubling is when you look at the pulpit behind him. He's in the pulpit saying he's excoriating a black Muslim. And look at the pulpit behind him. That's a whole nother subject right there. Let's go.
Name for God. But I said my book is better than your book. And in my book, it said in Genesis 1:1, in the beginning God, and I said God is from the word or the noun in the Hebrew, Elohim. El is the strong one. And Elohim is the strong one that created. I said to the Muslim brother, read in your book the 19th surah, verse 66. He turned to the 19th surah, and before he could read verse 66, I jumped the gun and I beat him to the punch, and I quoted it for him. The Prophet Muhammad says, when I am dead and buried in the ground and go back to dust, is that all? Or what's going to happen to me? I said, but my book said, now remember, I said, my book's better than your book. My book said in Job 14:14, if a man die, shall he live again? He said, that's the same question. I said, I know it is, but your book asked the question, and your book never gave no answer. My book don't start nothing that it don't finish.
That's false. That's false. Now y'all know the Quran had an answer. I mean, you remember the many virgins that you're gonna have in heaven? Y'all think, come on now. Don't do that. That's disingenuous. This is what I'm saying, and I'm pretty much, I'm gonna let it go a little further, and then I'm gonna end it. Let's go.
If my book started, my book will finish it. The question was asked in 1520 BC. And 1533 years later, the question was answered by Jesus in St. John 11:25. Jesus said, I am the resurrection and the life. He that believeth in me, though he were dead, yet shall he live again. I told the Muslim, I say, read in your book the 3rd surah, verse 144. He took so long I had to jump the gun again. The 3rd surah, verse 144, the Prophet Muhammad is speaking again, and he says, I am only a messenger of Allah and nothing more. I said, but in my book, Jesus said in John 14:6, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh unto the Father but by me.
So I had to cut that off because that was horrible. I'm gonna jump the gun. That's not how you do it. You didn't know this man. At his first encounter with you representing Jesus Christ was you going to him telling him your book is better than his book. So let me put a point on this, and this is about to mess y'all up. Y'all ready? Let me tell you a story. There was once a man that got arrested for murder, right? The murder allegedly happened at 4 p.m. Four witnesses. The first witness said it happened at 5 p.m. He was wearing jeans and a t-shirt and some sneakers, and he shot him with a handgun. Second witness said he wasn't wearing jeans and a t-shirt. He was wearing a jogging suit. It was red, and he didn't have a handgun. He had a knife, and it was more like 8 p.m., and it was dark. Third witness said he didn't have neither of that on. He just had jogging pants, but he just had a t-shirt on, and it wasn't a handgun nor a knife. It was actually a rifle. I mean, he was wearing a baseball cap, and it happened earlier in the day, about 1. The last witness said he didn't see much of it, but the one he saw, he did shoot him, but he had on some red sneakers that were Jordans. That's the only thing he remembered. The jury comes back and finds this man guilty. So it was a death penalty case. Now, anybody with any common sense would say, those are 4 different stories. There is no way nobody would ever find him guilty and punish him to death. Nobody would ever do that. You would think that, no, there's no way in the world. Right? This is about to mess you up. You have Mark you have Matthew, you have Luke, you have John. The very pinnacle of our faith as Christians relies on four different accounts of the resurrection. One account said it was an earthquake and the stone rolled away. One account said when they got there that it was already moved. One account says it was two berries. One said it was a group of them. One said Peter's with them. It was like four different accounts of the one story. The Muslim could have just easily went there and said the pinnacle of your faith is done on this. It's four different accounts. One said it was morning. One said it was night. One said sun wasn't even out yet. Which one was it? And then there's other accounts that you don't even know about, like the Q source and the other accounts that had something different. They all stored from the Q source, by the way. But these are conversations you want to have. Oh, we're just going to gloss over that. Let's just stay in Matthew because you're scared. One account even said they left. They left and didn't say anything to anybody because they were afraid. And then he comes back and say what they did. But what you don't know is that part was added later. That's not an original script. In Mark, I forgot the last, it was in 19, when they said they left and told no one because they were afraid. That's where it ends. That's really, in some of your versions, it even makes a note of it. It's like a little hyphen. It's like in my King James, it's a little hyphen, little line, and it says not an original script. And these stuff we just gloss over. But you can take your book and say, my book is better than yours. I absolutely don't believe you should do that because our book is based on historical aspects, a lot of it. And some of the stuff cannot be proven. You shouldn't do it. Because if they start calling you to the carpet and say, where's that ark? Where's that ark that had all those animals? Were there pelicans on there? Were there penguins and polar bears? What about all these other animals? Where did they come from? When they start asking these hard questions, you can't answer. These animals crossed over lakes and rivers and everything else to jump on a boat to go back over the lakes and rivers to get there. Really? I mean, these are questions that some of us could probably answer, but they're not readily available to everybody. And you go telling somebody else that my book is better than yours. My issue with us is, why do we do that to other religions? And it's been rising even more. I've been seeing it. I've been seeing some of your posts. Why? Because if they call your stuff to the carpet, are you ready to answer? I know Chris can. I know some of you can. But how many of you actually are that versed in the Bible where they bring these hard questions that you can actually answer? Because I just threw out one, and it's a hard curveball. You can't answer that one. It's literally right there. Read these books. It's 4 different accounts. So I think what he did was wrong. So what's the issue? I mean, what's the solution? The Bible is clear. Love and kindness have I drawn thee. That way, he just did it. Man just lost the brother. And the part that made me so mad is that you did that in front of all these people that's probably going to go out here and vote for somebody that don't like none of you. I agree. I agree with you. And the sad part about it is Muslims actually respect. They know Moses. They respect Moses. They respect all our prophets. They respect all the prophets. Now, they call Jesus a prophet. They don't believe he's the Son of God. Your Bible says it is, and that's our faith. But we shouldn't impose our faith on other people. That's my point. And I don't want us to be that kind of people where we're exhibiting this kind of behavior to others and then celebrating how nasty we were to them. Because he would look real stupid had that man broke him down. But I just would have just said, okay, you know your Bible, you know your surah. And to do that. And I didn't look, when I studied the Quran in college, the little bit that we did study, it seemed like it was more instructional rather than historical. It was instructional. It was more telling you how to live this thing for the most part. It was some different aspects, but for the most part, it was more instructional. The Bible is historical, it's instructional, it's literature, it's all of this. And I get that. But at the end of the day, you just don't do that to people. You just don't do that to people. As the older I get, the more sensitive I am to these types of things. I don't have these discussions with people. It's one lady that I work with, and I'm gonna move on. There's one lady I work with, she's from Pakistan, and she's a Muslim. And she goes to, listen, she's more dedicated to hers than a lot of us are. That woman prays early at 4 a.m. She goes again in the middle of the day. She goes again, she prays. She does her 5 prayers. She does it. And she makes the most amazing meals. I love her cooking. But we actually talk about these things. We talk about the Bible. We talk about the Quran. We talk about the differences. We talk about the similarities. We talk about all of these things. And you know what? Our relationship is great. She's not Christian and I'm not Muslim. I'm not going to Islam. She's not coming over to Christianity. But you know what? We have a mutual respect and a mutual love for each other. And that's what it really should be about. Not that you going to hell. Not my book is better than yours. Not my religion is better than yours. Not my God is better than yours. You sound stupid in that regard. But not my God is greater than yours. They're going to be like, oh, really? Our God is great, isn't it? Building bridges. You are absolutely right, John. That is our goal, to build bridges. Beating people over the head with our Bible is not going to build bridges. It's going to make them explode. This right here bothered me. I had a whole nother thing. Trust me, I got that live about that preacher that quit or whatever. That's next week. We're going to talk about that. But when I saw this is something that is personal to me, because when I was out here, when I wasn't in church, it's like I could see clearly from the outside. When I was not in church like that, when I was like, man, ain't none of this stuff, I don't really believe this stuff no more. When I went through that point in my life, it's almost like I could see clearly when you're not in it. I wasn't blinded by the thing that we like to call church. So I could see things a little bit more clearly than I could when I was on the inside. I was so emotionally invested and attached to it, I felt like it was above reproach. And so I couldn't see clearly. But once I was out here, first I was a Hebrew Israelite, and then when I was an agnostic atheist, I guess you could say, when I was out there, I saw clearly. And so now me here, I see things, I don't just see things through a lens of a believer. I just see it. I don't need a lens, I just see it. I don't need anything to obstruct my view. I see. And some of the things that I see and some of the behavior things that we demonstrate as far as how to deal with other people from other faiths and belief systems is deplorable. We could do a whole lot better. And it's my prayer that we seek God's face and actually pray and ask him to show us how we deal and talk to people so they can understand where we're coming from and we can understand where they're coming from and not be so nasty to each other. It's all about getting a better understanding and growing. And that's something that I aspire to do every day. I hope that helped you. I went to a Christian workshop in Dubai and the Muslim worship with us. See, that's what I'm saying. That's good. One of my friends is a Muslim from Jordan. And that's what I'm saying. And man, listen, me and this lady, we get along great. Her and her husband used to own a restaurant, and he used to make these things called mimosas. It's like little rolls, like some, it's hard to explain, but when you bite into it, it has like vegetables or meats or whatever. She used to make some with potatoes or whatever, and I loved them. You know, they don't have the restaurant anymore, but we get along great. And in fact, when she has issues, she comes and talks to me. You know, and that's, I take, to me, that means more than me proving that my Bible is quote unquote better, when in some regards it's not. To be honest with you, I'm not going to hold you. I'm not going to hold you. And that's the thing that I'm hoping I just want us to grow as a people. I just want us to become, especially believers, I want us to start exhibiting what we should exhibit. Now, we're going to have fun. You know, we're about to get wild. The last 10, 15 minutes of this show for to get really crazy. But it's all in love. Everybody tried to convert everybody. It's all about respect. Indeed, Kevin. Indeed. I enjoyed your last live, by the way. Thank you, Brenda Thompson. All right. Let's end this thing on a good note. Well, a funny note. Now, I don't want y'all to I want y'all to strap in because I want to talk about something because it's on the way out. It's been a conversation. We're going to talk about it now, but a lot of black men don't want to be married, ladies, for a host of reasons. But Corey Holcomb, he took it to a whole nother level. Y'all need to listen. Are y'all ready? Do you want to learn or you want to be right? Okay, let's go.
If you marry a woman, you are setting yourself up to be destroyed, especially if you are a productive man. There is no way you go down and get a marriage certificate with all of the information out here about marriage.
Factual.
There's no way you should be getting married nowadays. That's an old concept, man. Absolutely. What you do, if you find some girl that you just got to claim with your cake ass, you go and you get a contract with the heifer where you are protecting yourself. Yeah. Because if you don't protect yourself and you marry one of these women who are not coming from money or get money, which is basically almost all of them, all that you've worked for, all that you've went to school for, all of this is in jeopardy. It's dumb to get married if you are wise now. Now, if you're a lame who don't know, can't nobody save you. Can't nobody save you. She got rights over your body and everything. God forbid something happened to you. She might do something scandalous if there ain't no gangster shit involved. Mm-hmm. If she ain't worried about the repercussions, you shouldn't be getting married no more. That's dumb. Dumb.
I always felt it was dumb.
Most of the women are going to rob you and take everything you have. And I'm saying there are women who've been taken as well. There are women who had to pay a lot of money for being married. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying a man who doesn't know how to go and get a contract on how things will get chopped up if it doesn't go right, you are setting yourself up to be destroyed. And the reason that you're scared to not get married is because you don't want her to go. And I'm here to tell you, homie, if you're scared for her to go to the point where you will marry her, you need it to be destroyed. So you can be built back up into something that is worth something.
Come on now.
Now you worth something. Now that you see a bitch ain't shit, and it ain't just Corey talking crazy. Now that you see that a funky bitch is the worst thing God put on this earth. Now you a better man after you got destroyed.
Y'all know that boy don't pull punches. And ironically, the comment section on this particular video was crazy lit. And the men were actually agreeing with this. We are running into an issue where there are a lot of men who have no desire to be married. That's like, no. And it's for a host of reasons. We're going to cover some of them. We're not going to be here long. But unless, of course, the conversation gets there. But yeah, I looked at this video and I said, whoa. Why? I mean, some of the stuff he said had merit because I've heard men say these same things. You know, they don't want to be taken through a ride. They don't want to lose half the stuff they worked hard for. They don't want to, it's a whole lot of reasons. One of the things that I've ran into men saying is that they don't want to lose their independence. Men value space. And for a man to give up his space for you is saying a lot. To share our space, to share our space with you is a huge thing. Because let's be real, some of you really, they're gonna need their space. And you would even say it because without going to therapy, you would bring this to another man and he has to live in a house with a woman that, to be honest with you, it's better to be on the corner of a roof than under a big house with you. So men, we think about that before we even venture down the marriage whole conversation with you. You disagree. I mean, I'm just going by what they're saying. Kevin. I've interviewed a few of them, and so this is what they're saying. Space. Now, I do have this. Hold on, let me pull this up. This is an article I found, and I found it very interesting. And wouldn't you know it, number one is here. Number one is there. It said the loss of independence. So that is a thing. So I hear what you're saying, Kevin. Yes, it is the leading reason that men are afraid of marriages. Cited by men who are afraid of marriage. Being married means tagging along with the woman who will influence a lot of decisions in his life. He had to take her opinion on everything, the color of the curtains, ice cream. Most men it's so much with that independence thing. Space is important. Sharing everything. I don't agree with the lack of confidence. I don't think that hinders. But the sharing everything, that I've heard that. I've heard the sharing everything. I've heard the additional responsibilities. This one is not too bad though. To be honest with you, most men that I've talked to, they don't care about that too much. Not too much. Probable strain on finances. Now this only affects some of the men that I spoke with. Some of the men that I spoke with was like, oh, not really. But they were afraid of losing all their assets. They were afraid of that. But they weren't, possible strain, not some of these men, because some of these men are on a totally different level. Less time for BFFs. I would hope that a man does not call another man BFF. Lackluster sex life. Now, I have heard this. This lackluster sex life is one thing that I have heard. And I'm going to ask some of the men that are married, and I'm sure some of you that have been married. Did your sex life improve or did it decline once you got married? That's my question. You can answer my inbox. You can say yes or no and none of your business, but that's my question. Maybe you can ask yourself. The end of romance, which is pretty much on that same thing. It was a poor perception of wives, which is why we're here. I believe that a lot of men, he said it improved. I believe that a lot of men, now this is my personal opinion. I believe that a lot of men are afraid of marriage because of what they perceive it to be. What they perceive it to be based off of the failed relationships that they've had before. Now, this is where I believe that most of them, even the ones I've spoken with, even in some of the groups that I'm in, even gathering all the information that I have, I believe this is it. This is the real thing, the perception. So where's this perception coming from? Like I said, one of them is from past relationships that didn't necessarily go so well. He said declined over time, happened, life, kids. 24 years in. It depends on the kind of woman that you marry. It's true. Depends on the type of woman that you marry. But the perception. So where does this perception come from? Like I said, it comes from past experiences. I believe right now in the media age, it comes from what we see. Everything is so plastered everywhere. You can go to movies and see it. You can go to the internet and see it. And most of the time we absorb that stuff. And those of us who want to be married, we can absorb it too. And if we're not careful, it'll make us change our mind on the marriage or make us be like, nah, I don't think I want to do that. And some of the things that I've been seeing, a lot of men been, watching and listening to is posts like this. Posts like this, because one of the perception is a lot of women only want to marry you because you have something. You have financial things that they want from you. I can agree with that. But what, Kevin, what I found? Like when I asked some of these ladies, would they be interested in starting a business with their man? Man, I was surprised to hear them say no. They want to have their own business. Now, I don't know if you've experienced that with some of the people you've spoken with, but I was actually kind of amazed because I was actually thinking that, yeah, let's start a business together and build. But they were like, no, not all of them, but too many to, not to look and say, whoa. They actually said, hey, I don't want to start a business with him. I want him to have his. But this is the question. Would you marry a man who makes $45,000 a year, is faithful, but unable to live a luxurious life? And then the second option was, do you makes $450,000 a year, has a little time for you, and is occasionally unfaithful? You would not believe how many people chose B in this post. Go there now. You can copy this right here and go to her post. I don't know if this is, I think this is on Facebook or Twitter, but this is the name. Go find it. You will be amazed at how many women said B. I was amazed. So it makes men think that the perception, I'm keep saying perception, is that a lot of you are gold diggers. A lot of these women are gold diggers. They just want me for my money. If I ain't got no money, they're not gonna really pay attention to me or give me any kind of respect. Earlier, I showed you guys that video with that lady that said she make $150,000, but they gonna live on his $50,000. She ain't gonna help them or whatever. Does it sound like she would respect that man? No, it sounds like she gonna throw that man away. And one of the people that commented said this: "Another, keep them both. Both would wear me out." And then, you know, I had to go see who would say something like this, and then we saw this. When I saw that, I said, "Oh God, you just, I mean,
God, you can't make this shit up."
It's like, it's always that one that brings the extra pain, that always steps outside of the realm of unicorns and say something off the wall. So we go to your page and see this. And so the perception is that even average men, Kevin Samuels was great at exposing that. He was exposing that, like women like that will come and say the most wildest things and say, hey, when you ask her how much a man needs to make, she would be the main one saying, oh, he needs to make $150,000 minimum to be with me. He needs to make that to be. No. So the perception to a lot of men is like, no, we don't want to get married if this is what's ahead of us. Now, this is not all. Trust me, this is not all women. There are a lot of women out here that don't fit this bill. Unfortunately, ones like this are the ones that's the loudest in the room. That's what usually happens, which curves perception. Because if this is what we're seeing, this is the one that's talking, these are the ones that's leaving the videos, then we go read the comment section, we see all these people agreeing, then it will make men say, okay, wait, is this what's up? But that's not the only one. Check this out.
People be false advertised. Don't get me wrong. Men do the same thing too. We're not going to completely just get rid of us in that situation, because it's a lot of dudes that be super romantic in the talking stage, and he buying flowers every day, and he doing this and doing that, then get married, and he just be like, well, shit, I'm chilling.
Yep.
That happens. We ain't gonna sit here and act like that don't.
That's real.
But on the opposite end, it happens on that opposite end as well. And y'all need to cop to that. A lot of women won't cop to that, bro. Or they'll say, okay, I'm doing it because you not doing this. No, it ain't always what that man not doing. Sometimes your ass just done got complacent. And you know that it's going to be way harder for him to lead that relationship than it is for you, especially in a marriage.
Yep.
Because more times than not, when a marriage ends, who get penalized more?
Men all the time.
It's a fact. It's no way around that, bro. Y'all can say whatever y'all want to say, and I'm more than willing to debate any woman that want to debate this. Please reach out to me.
So you heard what he had to say there. Moving really quickly, do you agree with that? I would honestly say men do, a lot of the men, they feel like, because I just asked them, I said, if you want to be married, if you didn't want to be married, what would be your reasons? And I just went about it that way. I wanted to hear. These men, a lot of men said they want to be married. Some of them, quite a few of them said they don't. But the ones that even said they want to be married, these are some of the reasons. And this came up, that she's going to change, that she's not going to want to look the same way or do the same thing she did when he first met her. She's going to get, like he said, comfortable or lax in how she presents herself to him. Do you agree with that? That's my question. I don't know. I've seen it. I've seen it happen to some other people. But is this true? Do you agree? Do you agree? I guess that's the question of the year. Let's continue.
The question of the day is easy access to sex the reason that men no longer want to get married? Well, an Instagram user, a black scientist by the name of the Vagina Saver, seems to think so. Take a quick look at this video.
Our culture, for sure, the black culture, is in an uproar because people are so hypersexual.
Yeah.
So men normally get married because they want to have constant sex. But they're not going to get married when they just can get it at any corner, at any time from any woman.
Right.
I agree with her to a certain extent. I think women are making it too easy for men. It's way too easy. I think women are forgetting that men are predators. So they have to hunt. If they don't have anything to hunt, you become a carcass. And then they move on to the next. We make it easy. Women, you have the power. We are the gift, not the man. We procreate. We bring life into existence, right? We can get a sperm donor.
Yeah.
You can't get a spare womb. It's so easy. Marriage is taboo, and it really.
Wait a minute. I don't, you know what? I'm just going to end that. So the question is sex what another reason why men don't want it? Because it's so readily available. I mean, yeah, especially those of us who have leveled up per se, they have more options. And usually those options do lead to sex. So because sex is so easy to get right now, do you think that kind of turns men away from marriage? That's a good one, but I still think, I mean, all of these could be reasons. Let me say that. I believe all of these could be reasons because no two men are the same. Like what I may think is not a good reason may not be another man's. So if I'm like a Nick Cannon, of course I would be like, yeah, this is a good reason. It's because men can't find what they're looking for. Okay. As far as wives, right, Chris? And so I look at this one, and out of all of the ones that I heard so far, this is one of the ones that I said I could probably see because it's sex. If you only want to get married for sex, you know what I'm saying? If you ain't trying to build a family, not trying to build a legacy, or you just want to just have sex, yeah, of course, this would be a good reason not to get married. I agree with the Barry White saying what he took together is keep her. But yeah, I understand the keep her part, but we're talking about the men right now. It's easier. The easier the sex, the more likely you are to get that stalking chick in the show, showing up your mama house before you can even, of course. We know that actually happens a lot. That happens way too often where you got some women showing up to your show. I told y'all about the one woman that I used to date that just showed up to my church. I come walking up the stairs and she's sitting there looking at me and I'm like, what in the world? Because I stopped, we stopped talking. I didn't have any conversations with her. So you can imagine me not even dealing with you like that. You show up to my church. So I can imagine if she would have got, oh wait, where's my favorite one? If she would have got that, yeah, oh my God, she probably would have been slitting my tires. She'd probably been, man. So I noticed the whole stalking thing too well. But out of all of them, this is kind of one of the ones that I could see. Like if you out here, you just want to have sex and it's readily available, I can kind of see that. It's not a 9 or a 10 reason, but I can kind of understand that. But check this out.
Yo, y'all want to know why most men don't want to get married? Every man got that friend or friends that tied the knot and jumped the broom or whatever y'all want to call it. But they're always calling us to complain about y'all. It seems like you became a completely different person from who you was before you got married. They tell us you don't listen to them, you don't fuck them, you put them down. You tell them, you better act right or I'm going to leave you. I'm going to take half your shit. It seems like when a man gives you the ring or his last name, you just become a straight bully. You just beat this man emotionally into submission. And I'm sure y'all gonna say this, not every married woman. I'm sure there's 1% of women that's probably sweet and nice as hell, just like the movies, right? But from what I'm seeing, it don't seem like that. And that's the reason why most men don't want to get married, because we just don't want to be treated like shit. So unless we could change this norm.
Yeah. So I wanna take this a different way. Let me ask this question. Do you think that, like, some of us who see our friends that are married and the stuff that they go through, do you think that that makes some of us say, oh, nah, I don't want to go through that. I don't want to be married? That's the question. We hear, the part that stuck with me is what he said. We hear our friends talk about their marriage and how their marriage is going down, or what's going on with their marriages, and how their wives are not treating them right or whatever, you know, and some of their friends watching that. And then you see another friend of yours get divorced, and then she take half his stuff. And then you see another friend over there, you see his wife cheating with some of your other musician friends. And then you see all of that. This is a low income conversation. Man, I think this happens because, like I said, some of the men that I work with at the other place where I go, these are men that make pretty good money. And these are still conversations that they have. I mean, for crying out loud, celebrities get divorced all the time and they try to take their money. I think Tyrese is richer than all of us, and he's having these conversations. So I don't agree with that, Kevin. I think a lot of these dudes deal with this situation. A lot of these men, rich, poor, average, or whatever, they deal with these marriage situations. None of these marriages are lasting like that. I never hear men talking, high value men talking about this. Kevin Samuels talked about it. He was high value. Kevin, you're welcome to come on. I'll let you on if you want to jump on. I want to hear your side. I want to hear your side because I've heard high value men talk about this. I've heard them talk about this. One dude in particular, I'm not going to put his name out here, but one dude in particular, I've heard him talk about this same thing. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Okay, give me 3 minutes to set up. Cool. I'll send you the link. Hold on. I have to send you the link, Kevin. Hold on a second. Give me a second, people. Sending him a link. Chris, you want to come on? I'll give you an opportunity. Where you at, Kev? There you go. Yes, two of my favorite minds have a conversation. Depends on the friends you hang with. Most of mine that are married, they complain about their wives, but it's just men talking. Yeah. I mean, I've heard from all aspects. Poor men, rich men, average men. You know, a lot of these men. I mean, we look at some of these marriages that's happened right in front of our face. Look at Will Smith. I'm pretty sure he has conversations about his wife. He's rich. Look at, I mean, it's so many we could go down the line. I mean, what's that boy name, that man that was married to, what's her name? God, what is her name? Megan Good. When he was married to her, he's high value. He had problems with his marriage, and they discussed it. I mean, they have issues in their marriage, and they kind of will, listening to these men, it'd be like, nah, I don't want to get married. And a lot of rich men, honestly, one of the things that they worry about is probably losing their assets. But before Kevin jumps on, I'm going to play this last one while he's getting ready.
Men shouldn't even get married to women. I'm gonna be honest. I gotta be honest on the show.
You said men shouldn't get married to women?
Not,
what do you mean
not
by
in
that?
2023. There's no incentive for you to get married to women. There's no benefit for you to get married to women.
Why do you feel that way?
It's not a feeling. It's a knowledge. There is no benefit. Name one benefit that a man gets marrying a woman.
If you're not factoring in your emotions, then yeah, that makes sense.
What do you mean?
Like you just said, like, well, yes, marriage is a is often known as a business proposal or a
that's where I was
contract.
created. Yes.
Yes. So, but if that's solely how you're looking at it and you don't see the monetary value in a woman, then yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
No. Again, name me one benefit that a guy gets by marrying a woman versus a serious relationship.
If you take out religion, first of all, let's take that out.
Yeah, let's
throw that out the window. It's just a sign of commitment. A lot of people get married as just a sign of commitment. It doesn't have to benefit anything. It's just showing I'm committed to you, you're committed to me. And that alone, for me, is enough.
Are you showing that commitment because you want to show that commitment, or are you showing that commitment because
I want to show that commitment? Me getting married is not going to be on like a religious type thing. It's more so it's for me and my spouse, because I want a wedding too. I want that commitment and the reception, and I want all that just as much of that. And yes, I do agree that besides that, there's not really a big difference between that and a serious relationship. But that's just a sign showing I'm committed to you, you're committed to me, and let everyone see that. That's really it.
I actually agree.
So I asked this question yesterday. I asked this question yesterday, and I asked a woman, I said, what is the benefit? If I was to marry you, or he was to marry a friend that was standing there, and we was just speaking hypothetically, of course. And I said, what would be the benefit of marriage to you? And neither one actually gave good answers, but it's not answers that, I would be like, okay, this is wonderful or whatever. And to me, it's the question that most men will say. They don't see. This is probably number one. They see no benefit. They see no benefit in it right now for them. Like Corey Holcomb said, the more successful men. He actually said that, and he's rich. He makes money. So they really don't see the benefit. I mean, wait. So I'm looking at, you're probably wondering what I'm looking at. I'm looking at the statistics for rich men who don't want to be married. That's what I'm looking for. And I'm seeing a whole lot of articles, and I'm actually going to go to my Scholastic page. But this is interesting. But I'm waiting for Kevin. The second he jumps on. I sent the link to you, Kevin. Check your IG. I'll post it here too, though. I don't know if you're on. That's the link. But yeah, so that's the crazy thing. I think this is the number one. It's the benefit. So rich men, I guess they're saying in these articles, or the article that I'm looking at right now, is the same thing. But having said that, here's the crazy thing. Millionaires and billionaires, 85% of billionaires are married, right? But for female billionaires, it's 62%, which is weird. I wonder why that is. The benefit went out the window when mom and dad went to work and nobody was at home to mind the kids, if there were kids involved. Okay, I'll see that. Let me see. I'm waiting on Kevin. That is true though, Jeremy. You can't deny that. I just think the benefit, when I asked that question, I was just looking for a wide scope of things, like what would be the benefit? What value could you add? I think that's probably the way I should have asked it, is what value would you bring to somebody who has everything or have their junk together because we live in a time where men are cooking and everything. Okay, I see Kevin is here.
Cool. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm adding to you to the scene.
Trying to think if I need to turn anything down.
No, I hear you fine.
Okay, cool.
What's up, man?
What's up, man? How you feeling, man?
I'm okay.
About time we did this.
Yeah, it's about time. Both of us got good cameras, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what you got to add to this, man? I want to hear your view.
Okay, so high value. When I think of high value, I don't necessarily think of money.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at the individuals. And see, guys with money, they have a different motive of getting married, especially when okay, we talk about black men. Most black men don't come into their wealth until the ages of 45, 50. That's when they really start living their best life. By that time, kids are grown. Kids are grown and out the house. So why are they getting married that late? I think they have a better reason of not to get married, because really marriage is for raising kids.
Right.
It's, to me, you get a woman, you marry her, you have kids, and it's all to pass down everything you're working for.
Mm-hmm.
That's really the only reason to have kids. There is no other reason to have kids than to literally pass down everything you're working for. It's all about legacy.
Right.
But as far as, men being afraid, most men that talk about being afraid to be married are men who are just afraid to be pushed, I think. Because you got to think,
how?
Just pushed in life, pushed to their full potential.
Okay.
Marriage is going to make a man out of you. Whether it fails or lives on, it's going to make a man out of you. There are going to be some highs and some lows that you're going to experience that's going to make a man out of you. And just being afraid of becoming a man is what's alarming to me. Like, afraid to fail. I'm on my third marriage. Like, third marriage. You get what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
And I didn't want to get married the third time.
What was your reason for the third time?
My third time was, I still had my daughter. My youngest daughter was 6, so I had 2 girls. One, at the time she was 6, and my oldest was 16. Now, my oldest wasn't living with me, so I still had a 6-year-old in the house, and I love the idea of a complete household. I just believe no matter how good of a father I am, there are just some things I cannot teach my daughter. She's gonna have to learn some things from a woman. They just have that. Even the Bible says the older women teach the younger women. So I always love the idea of a complete household. So that was in the cards. That served me and my home well to have that missing piece, that missing link.
Did you freeze on me?
I don't know. No, I just stopped talking.
Oh, okay. So
I didn't want to get married. I didn't want to get married the third time because I faced some nasty accusations the second time.
Okay.
And I said, man, I never wanted to make myself vulnerable again to the accusation. It's not, did he do this or did he do that? When people look at these football players, these athletes, it's not, are they guilty? It's the accusation that tears them up. Because if you think about it, once these football players are found not guilty of rape and all this, they still don't let them back into school. They still lose all their scholarships. They don't give it back to you. So the mere allegation destroys your life.
Mm-hmm.
Me, I did not want to take that risk again.
Right.
I did it anyway because I heard the voice of God saying, do this. And I always think I believe marriage is high risk. So if it works, the reward is high. And for me, the reward has been extremely high. Now, I'm not saying there's not good reason to be afraid, but jumping in the water, if you don't know how to swim, there's reasons to be afraid of learning how to swim, but you do it.
Right.
You know, so and when I hear a man say, I'm afraid to get married, I'll be like, dog, man up. Go out there and fail. Take that risk. I don't want to hear none of that crap. Oh, she gonna take half my money. Get more money then. I don't think there's any excuse to get those life lessons. Like, stop saying you scared. Get married, bro.
Would it be fair to say, like to say scared, let's say apprehensive. Is that a better word?
Even apprehensive. Like I said, even starting a business, you could be apprehensive about starting a business. Don't mean you shouldn't start it. Get out there and fail. Like, I talk about musicians all the time. I said a while ago, I said, hey, yo, I want to retire from this. I know y'all want to start these podcasts. Get out here and start speaking. Nobody wanted to do it. D, I'm so glad you're doing this. I'm so glad I get to sit and watch y'all. But the thing was, nobody wanted to fail. I think just overall, people are afraid of failure. So they don't get married. They don't start businesses. They don't get this, develop this friendship over here. They don't, I want my circle. I don't want nobody snaking me. Bro, get snaked and get that lesson. Get snaked. Go out there, fail, skin your knee. That's like saying, I don't want to ride no bike, man. You see all these people falling off their bikes. No. Fall off the bike. Learn how to ride. I had to learn how to do marriage.
Here's my pushback. I'm raised. Okay, of course, I was raised Kojic. So my parents raised me to say, "Hey, you married. That's it. This is who you are. You can't. The Bible is against divorce." So my thing is, if I'm gonna get married, it's gonna be this one time. What if you marry somebody that's a complete hellion and they don't show this side of them until much later, but you still holding on to your core beliefs and your values as far as divorce? Now, is that something that you can actually have in your mind and say, "Oh, I'm just going to disregard that and jump in this late"?
Let me tell you what I did. That was the second marriage. Actually, it was the first and the second. I'm raised Kojic too, so I had those principles where I'm like, nope, I'm sticking through it, man. I went through it, just hanging in there on principles and hanging in there on what I was taught. And God hates divorce, but God also don't want us to be abused. You get what I'm saying? And I'm I ain't talking physical abuse, but I'm talking about.
Well, sometimes that.
Yeah, sometimes it is that. But some people, being a narcissist and lying and not being truthful and being bad with money, being toxic with money and all kinds of stuff like that is damaging to you. And you should only take so much. You should at some point say, okay, I gotta love me. I gotta do what's right for me. And I know this isn't working. And then love to me transcends us being married. It's like you get to a point where you're saying, okay, if I truly love this person, then divorce is right for both of us if we love each other, because this is not working. So I think those old principles, that's a learning lesson too. That's a life lesson. I was taught it, I implemented it, and it hurt, man. And I had to come and learn that lesson and say, okay, that wasn't the right way. To hold on to those principles, that wasn't the right way. That was unproductive. That wasted a lot of time. And I feel like this, in the Black community especially, man, it wasn't until I remember when I worked a job, this was a while ago, a coworker told me, white guy said, yeah, man, I got divorced last week and I'm going over to my ex-wife's for dinner. I was like, going to your ex-wife's for dinner? Y'all just got divorced? Yeah, we just got divorced. Wasn't working. I'm like, what? Because the way we were raised, that principle of sticking through it and God hates divorce is so toxic. So by the time we decide we should get divorced, it's physical, it's nasty. But what they do on their side is they decide before it gets ugly to just break up. But we wait until people go to jail. People, you know what I'm saying? Because we holding on to something that ain't working. And that's why divorce is so ugly. And then can't get along, can't raise the kids together, can't co-parent because we didn't stuck this thing out too long. So I didn't actually learn that a peaceful divorce was a real thing for a while. But there's a correct way, there's a healthy way to even break up. So it's not the fear. I think we got to kill that fear of getting married and getting them life lessons. There's a peaceful way to do everything, to get married and to divorce if it's not working. But you got to try or you will never know.
That's true. So let me ask you this. What do you think benefits? What do you think? What benefits a man would have to marry? What are the benefits?
If the man has not, if he wants to start a family, it benefits him to marry a woman because a woman needs a guarantee. Okay, if I have your children, now this only goes for high value women, which have not had a whole bunch of baby daddies. They ain't been ran through. When a high value man chooses that woman, to me, she has a right to get that kind of a commitment if she's going to bear his children and, be at home and raise his children and help him carry on his legacy. That is the benefit, to me, for the woman and for the man.
Mm-hmm.
I get to get a clean, wholesome woman to have my kids. And she's like, okay, and I'll be taken care of for the rest of my life for doing this.
Okay. So I guess the follow-up question is, how do you know you've experienced how did you know you had a high value woman?
Ooh, man, that's a great question. I knew, man, I just knew. I hope you can accept that. So check this out. I believed in family so much that I did get married a third time, even though I didn't want to. So my wife, I tell people, I say, my wife is not the woman of my dreams because I could have never dreamed of her because I never knew this level of compatibility existed. I never knew such a good woman existed. So I couldn't have ever prayed for this. So I just really believe God is that good. I know God is so good that if you just try and you really believe in something, no matter how many times you fail, God is going to make that thing come true for you and will eventually bring what you need into your life. I had no idea a marriage could be this good. No idea. Never saw it, wasn't raised around. I was raised in a broken home, raised around broken homes. The only example I had was my grandparents, but we say, okay, they got married in a time, that's not relevant to mine right now. So they don't really understand. That's just something they did back in the day. I never saw a healthy marriage. So to say that I recognized one, I didn't. It was just a spiritual thing. It really was a move of God that just put it on my heart. This is the one. I'm like, God, this is the one. I didn't even question it. Didn't even question it.
I think that's what a lot of men are having problems with. Like even the guys, like the architect that I talked to, his issue was he was a divorcee as well. And his issue was trying to find or come up to that woman that's on that level. Because most of these women that he's been running into has been what I showed, the wild ones that I show here. Like, what do you have or what do you got or I don't want to do nothing. And that doesn't work for him because like you got a woman that more likely can take care of the home if you're not there or while you out taking care of business. Well, you got some women out here, and we both know this, that just want to just live off of you and don't really want to do much for you. And those things that I think are entering to the psyche of these men that are kind of making them be like, if I can do everything by myself, why would I want to venture onto this? Because it's serving me. It's more for me to expend to take care of you and do this when I'm really not receiving anything in return. And you got to dig through so many women and you got to try to find out which one is really for me and not. You know what I'm saying? God really looked out for you because there are a lot of men out here that don't have that testimony. and thought that they did and ended up, in situations like taking their children from them. That's another thing that I
That's what happened. That's what happened to me. That's what happened to me. So when I literally say, it's like when you look at the average amount of times that a millionaire files bankruptcy, is at least 2 times in their life. At least 2 times.
Unless
They're losing everything.
Okay.
And it's a bad mark, but you're just trying to get this money and get this success. And eventually God opens up doors and makes a way, and you don't see a third bankruptcy, but
How
you
did
don't
you
see a
do that though? To bounce back, because all my friends and family members that I know experience divorce, it pretty much, if you let it will take you out. You know what I mean? You in the military, you know exactly what I mean.
Bro,
You
let
see
me
what
tell
I'm
you
saying?
something.
How do you bounce back from that? And how do you share that with other men that's saying, man, I mean, you stronger than most. You have a strong personality. You are a strong man yourself. So men like that came into that or are coming into that later in life, how do you express that to these men and say, hey, regardless of that, you need to, I'm here to tell you, it gets better. How do you relay that message to them?
I do it just simply by saying trust God. Trust God and don't try. Don't even try. You don't need to try anything. You just need to be you and be led by God. God gonna order your steps. God gonna send who you need at the perfect time, and you will know. Don't fall under any kind of pressure. Like, I don't believe a woman should be pressuring no man to marry them. I do not believe in that at all.
Okay.
God will move on that man, and that will be the time that y'all get married.
Yeah.
And it should come from no kind of outside pressure.
Yeah.
Because
it won't
then
work.
to me that's red flag. When a woman's
Yeah.
like, when you gonna marry me? When you gonna marry? You gonna have to marry me. No, hold on. That man will know. You know what I'm saying?
I'm with you.
A woman, to me, back to that clip that was talking about a man hunts. I don't believe in chasing no woman either.
Yeah, man, that yeah.
I don't
That was
believe
too
in that.
much.
I believe that a woman goes out of her way to say, I'm available if you want me. Like, you make it known to the man that you want to be chosen.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then we decide, yeah or no. But I'm never chasing a woman. I'm not chasing no woman. Never, ever. I don't believe in that. I believe in you like who likes you. That's the best. Fall in love with the people who love you. Don't be out there spitting game. Don't be out there with these stupid lines, pickup lines. Like, I've never gone to the club chasing women, looking for women. I've never been to a strip club. I never ever got dressed and was like with the guys and was like, yeah, let's get up and go holler at chicks. That was never me. Never ever.
But we musicians, we move a little differently though. The
Right.
game
And
is a little bit different for us.
but what has happened? Think about your music career. Women let you know.
Yeah.
They let you know. Bro, they can't sit down at these musicals. They get up for no reason, just to show you what they wear.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, the game is a little different for
Yeah,
us.
and that's they sign. That's they sign that I want to be chosen. And then you make that decision. And then, if you see that there's value there, if she ain't ran through, she ain't got a horrible reputation, then you can make that decision. But to me, I believe a woman is going to push you, because now it's like, okay, the more responsibility you have, like a lot of people say, man, I want money, I want money, I want money. Well, people never think in terms of responsibility. If you want money, then you gotta want responsibility. If you have low responsibility, you will have low money. And this is why I tell musicians all the time, you want to be just a drummer. That's low responsibility. So don't complain about a little check. When you're the MD, you take on more responsibility, so it's more money. You know what I'm saying? So if you have a wife and a child, think about that. God is like, oh, you're going to take on a wife and kids? Let me bless you. Let me bless you. You got to work. You got to work. but God is going to bless you. That's why I say, man, never be afraid that you're going to get divorced and a woman going to take half. Man, what happened with Jeff Bezos? He got divorced. His wife took half, and he's still the richest man in the world. That's how much money that dude had. His wife took half, and he's still the richest man in the world. So I
think
just
that's
say,
probably why you said it's like poor man talk, because they are only ones that really suffer when she takes half. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not even talking about in terms of what's in the bank. I'm talking about in terms of your ability. You can get more. A man can make money. Like, money ain't nothing. A man can get money. Don't be afraid of that. And if you are, get a prenup.
That's what I was going to ask you. Chris is on. Chris, you can jump in at any time. But prenups. How do you feel about prenups? I found now that's something I didn't get to, but I found that a lot more men, especially statistics say men under 45 have more necessity for prenups than men over 45. They don't usually get prenups, and I found that very interesting.
You said
I
say
don't
that again?
understand that.
You said men over 45 don't get
Men
prenups?
over 45, men, millennials or whatever, they get prenups way more. They're more likely to get prenups. I found that crazy. And I found that in Forbes, an article on Forbes.
That they are more likely to get them.
More likely to get prenups.
I
than
like
men
it
over
because you got to think what's in a prenup. You get to design what happens if you break up. You get to have a healthy discussion before things get crazy, because what happens is prenup is good because you get to discuss the terms of a breakup while everybody has a cool head.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Instead of waiting until you get divorced and people are bitter towards each other and hostile towards each other, then it's just nasty. So
why do you think people well, men, we really don't care, but why do you think a lot of ladies are against prenups?
Okay, I would say why ladies are. I think ladies are against prenups because they have ill intentions. I think high class or high value women never see a prenup. It's never discussion.
You saying they don't get it, or it's just never discussion?
It's never discussion.
They're better. I was just saying it yesterday, and my friend looked at me yesterday. It's like, what? Because I was like, I probably wouldn't do it, because my thing is the woman that I would choose, I would really, really vet. And number two, I would know that she would, because I chose her, I'm a good chooser, and she would never need to do that because we're going to be together. Plus, it's to death do us part. That's a little joke there. Chris, you can jump in. I really want to ask Chris this question. Did you hear what we talked about so far?
Yeah, I kind of came up on the tail end of it, but I heard a good piece of it.
Well, jump in, man, real quick before Kevin has to go. I know he has other
What's
things.
up, Chris?
Yes, sir.
What do you have to say about what we talked about?
Now, you guys talked about a lot of really good things. For one, I know Kevin, you were saying, the reasons why people should get married. I think you asked Kevin that. I think his response was very interesting. And Kevin, you are a believer, right?
In
The Most High, Elohim, we say Yahweh earlier. That God, are you a believer?
let me say I know God. It's hard to believe in what you know. So people say, "Do you believe in God?" I say, "No, I don't believe in God. I know God." So that's why that when you said, are you a believer? No, I don't believe. I think knowing God is stronger than an actual belief. But I'm technical like that. Yeah.
Sounds good. Very important. So, yeah, I'm with you. I mean, if that be the case, I just kind of want to see how to approach this. But I think it's very interesting because I think if we understand why we need to be married, both men and women, I think it would create more of a sense of urgency. I think now in this generation, you hear a lot more of the skepticism, and like D. Hearn was saying earlier, there's what would you say? You like they're reluctant to for whatever out of fear, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that if we understand at the end of the day, this is the Most High's will that we be married. It's really not as optional as we think it is. I don't like her. She, I'm secure this. I'm with you, Kevin. take the risk. You know what I'm saying? And get out there and do what the Most High wants us to do, because that is the way, for like you said, the way that He wants us to raise children is in a home. And because that has been obliterated over the last few decades, that has had a substantial impact on the productivity of our culture, right? On levels, right? Spiritually, economically, morally. Let's not even go there. I think that's part of the reason why the 45 and unders feel more of a reason, because that generation, as you go younger, I love them, but I'm just saying, morally, spiritually, ethically, they're just at a different place. They're really at a decline. And but you know, Kevin, you said another thing I really agree with, that marriage tends to pull the slack out of you. I'm not talking about a nagging wife or anything like that, but I do agree, since it's the Most High's design, if we do it that way, we'll get the best results.
That's pretty interesting.
That
But
is
I
very
think
interesting.
you were married too, Chris, right? You were married, right?
Yes.
Okay. So let me ask you this for both of you. The bounce back is what I want to stay. You can hardly hear Chris. Chris, could you pull up some? They said they can hardly hear you.
Okay, good.
So
I can hear
I
him
guess
good.
my thing is, as a man that's going to be married, I guess my thing is, if I could be transparent, it's one of the things that always make me kind of like, okay, am I really going to do this? Is the echo chambers. How do you filter that out and say, okay, I'm going to do this and my echo chamber is just going to be damned? You know what I mean? Like all the stuff that I see, the results, the people that I see get married 2 years later, they broke up and they all in divorce court or fighting in church and everything else. How do you eliminate that from your mind and say, okay, I'm going to be married, I'm going to jump this broom? Because it's so much easier for you to say, no, I'm just going to do this thing. I don't really need it at this point. You know what I mean? So how do you eliminate those echo chambers and do what you say God wants you to do? I'll let Kevin go first.
3 things: taxes, credit history, and insurance. You got to go to the clinic together, but you also got to pull them credit reports on each other. Look at the tax history on each other, and it's going to tell you, because marriage is a business decision. It really is. It will tell you if a person is responsible. It will tell you those 3 things: their insurance, credit, and taxes will tell you how responsible a person is, how they can be of help to you, and how you can be of help to them. Because it's yin and yang. Y'all going to be working together. So you got to check those things, because to me that matters. And it doesn't really matter where they are, but it really does matter if they're working to make those 3 things better.
Okay.
And to
So they
me,
don't
that
have to
should
be all the way there.
it don't
Just
have to
work.
be, but you got to be showing some effort. Like, oh, I'm getting this together. I'm getting my taxes together. I'm getting my credit together. I'm good on my insurance. Like I do in my last marriage, I got married and dropped from my insurance because her insurance was so bad. Her car insurance history was so bad, or her driving record was so bad, they wouldn't insure her. So when we got married, they're like, well, y'all both, I'm adding her to the insurance. Man, I just got dropped by the whole company.
She was driving like this, bro. That's why she got dropped.
So look, if had I not had that experience, I wouldn't be able to come on here and tell everybody. Though those 3 things are very important. Check the insurance, check the credit, check the tax history. And to me, that quiets down so much other noise. Like, it don't even matter. Like, that's going to tell you everything you need to know. And they just got to be having a good faith effort to clean it up if it's not there.
Okay. Chris?
I would agree with that, man. Especially in the day we live in, I think that doing the background check is really vital. To kind of determining the character of the woman you're choosing to be with. But I would add that understanding and having a more defined and precise idea of the type of woman that you're looking for.
Okay.
will also aid in you connecting with the right person, right?
Mm.
Because I think that we've all kind of been drawn to things of our own lust and this, that, or whatever. But as we learn the kind of characteristics of a woman, I think Proverbs 31 is really, really good. And sometimes we just kind of fly through there,
Mhm.
but it really is very detailed. I call it the Hershey fruit because it's so much her and she in there, and but it outlines the character of a woman that would be considered virtuous, and I think D, you would agree, men have not changed nearly as much as women. The certain types of qualities that a man would have looked for 100 years ago are essentially the same qualities that he would look for today. Now, women, we know that's an inverted fraction, right? We know women, it is completely evolved and not for the better. And so I said that because if we get back to understanding that those are the kinds of things that will help bring fidelity and loyalty to the marriage, a lasting marriage, it always has, and I believe it always will.
That's pretty good. I know both of you got to go, so I'm gonna ask this last question for those men who are scared to be married. Well, scared to marry. That's the name of the whole segment. What the nuggets Kevin dropped, I guess we can take those to the bank. Those are very, very good nuggets. Actually, kind of made me like, okay, maybe I'm seeing this thing wrong, and maybe when I go back and talk to these men, I can tell them, hey, it's some good knowledge that was dropped here. Go there. So let me ask you this: you meet a woman, and y'all dating or whatever, right? And the issue of marriage comes up. You find, well, of course, she has children. Is it a turnoff if she has a child? Because most at my age, most of the women are going to have children. We know that. Hopefully, you don't have 18. But she says to you, you cannot discipline my children at all. Is that a deal breaker? Because that's another thing that, men, they're marrying women with children and they bringing children in the home and they can't discipline them. Is that a deal breaker, or is that something a man should consider?
For me, it's a deal breaker. Period, point blank in the discussion. I think it castrates the man if he can't rule, because men bring discipline, structure, order, and if you can't control the children properly, good luck. And I guarantee you, most women who would try to control their area would also try to control many others.
Kel?
I'm gonna have to agree with Chris there. That's a deal breaker. And I'll add this. I agree with everything Chris said. I'll add this. That's not even coming from the woman. That's coming from that child's father. She's honoring the wishes of that child's father. Don't let him, I don't care. Don't let him touch my kid, though. You ain't gonna let him. And that's what she's doing. So she ain't even all the way there with you anyway.
Wow.
If that comes up, that ain't even, nah. Because most women want a man for that reason.
They want to
So yeah, that's usually coming. That's too much influence, and that's too much. She giving him too much leeway to have some say so in your home. No, I wouldn't take that one. That's out.
How realistic is it for a man to say, I don't want a woman with kids at our age?
I don't want a woman with kids. Everybody
like say
cannot.
for instance, I'm in my 40s. So if I was to say I don't want a woman with children, how likely is it that I will find a woman, especially now, with no kids?
I think that's highly unlikely. And I think that's cool for in your 20s to be able to say that. But in the 40s, to say I don't want a woman with kids is to say I want a woman who I don't know if she has any motherly experience, or I want a woman with no motherly experience. I wouldn't want that. I want a woman that knows a little bit about raising kids, that knows something about that, because that's where we are. And when you start hitting your 40s, you really start entertaining grandkids, really in your late 40s, mid 40s. I already got them, so yeah, that's highly unlikely. And I don't know why any man in their 40s would not want a woman with kids.
Shoot, I work in childcare. I can tell you, I can give you good reasons. Some of them kids up and down, man, I would be like, oh no, if they like that, no, you ain't coming up in my house. I got to tell you to sit down. You look at me and shoot up your middle finger up at me.
Oh,
I,
no.
I experienced that. It's just crazy. But I want to thank you guys for joining me, man. You brought, Kevin, thank you so much. It's our first time, but it won't be our last because, you know, I want to talk about some stuff you talk about. Kevin got some he has a lot of knowledge on a whole lot of things, not just music. He knows business. He knows how to get out here and make this money, fellas. And I want to definitely bring him on because he knows both spectrums. He did both spectrums at a high level. I don't know what y'all thinking. He did it at a high level. Very, very known, very well respected. Thank you for joining me. Thank you, Chris, for joining me. And you guys, you know, I'm going to close this thing out and we're going to head out. But thank you so much. Anytime, you're welcome.
Thanks for having me. And nice meeting you, Chris.
Yeah, likewise, bro.
D, you the man.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. So I'm gonna jump off of here, y'all. But it was very interesting today. I didn't expect Kevin and Chris to join. It was wonderful to have them here because it's always good to have a good perspective. And I know you guys that watch me, you say, okay, I like to hear Derek. But I like to hear Kevin. I actually watch his live. Chris is a regular on the show. And so it was good to hear them guys share. And so for the guys that are scared of marriage, I will say this. Just go ahead and do it. Don't be scared to get married. Pick a good one. We can do better than how we pick these women, though. We can. Vet that woman, and once you get her and everything, and y'all on that same level, y'all just go and do it. I'm going to take that advice. That's great advice. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the show. Next week, I'm going to be talking about something. I'm going to share it in a later video. I'm going to do my first commercial. I'm pretty sure Kevin would like me to do that. Make the best choices you can. Look, he said make the best choices. Look, that's the easier said than done. But yeah, I do agree. I have a great one, 45 years. Man, hey, man, look. You should be, why are you on here this late then? Oh, you should be big. No, I'm just messing with you. But anyway, next week we're going to talk about something that I desperately want to talk about. It's going to be religious based. We're going to do Preachers Going Wild, but it's something I've been seeing in the spirit realm that we definitely need to talk about because it's happening too much. Everybody want to be spooky these days. I don't know why everybody wants to be spooky. And I just don't get with the whole, you know, oh, I want to be spooky. We got to move this. I just don't like it. To me, I love don't get me wrong, I love the prophetic, but sometimes we just too spooky. So next week we talk about spooky stuff. And this, as you send me videos, we'll talk about those. So I'm going to jump off the here. By the way, last thing. Today was Juneteenth. It was a holiday that Joe Biden, with his old wisdom, that's sarcasm, decided to make a holiday. I'm not mad about that. But what I did see today, and I want us to understand this, and I'm just going to say this to my brothers and my sisters, it's up to us. When Cinco de Mayo came, we celebrated with them. When 4th of July comes, you know, y'all going to do y'all thing. St. Patrick's Day, y'all wore green. Y'all dang near celebrate everybody's. Then when ours came up, I saw something to, you know, all through this. Well, of course, my neighborhood is not many of us, but I saw something and I didn't like it. It's almost like it's just us. And what I saw happen in Milwaukee at a Juneteenth, Milwaukee has this festival all the time. And it was in front of a Church of God in Christ, ironically. And it was a shooting that happened. What are we doing, people? This was supposed to celebrate our liberation. And you choose to shoot up at your liberation party? I just don't understand that. That's why some people, especially the ones that live here where I reside in this area, they don't respect what we do and what we say in our struggle because they look up in the newspaper and they see this. Yes, I know it's a small percentage of these fools that do it, but this is, like I said before, this is making the most noise. We should be able to celebrate a first year that was made into a national holiday, businesses were closed. Except for, where I work, children still were there. But you get what I'm saying. Every businesses were closed today. And you had a nice celebration that they have on that side of town every year. They were doing it when I was in Milwaukee. And I saw a bunch of hair hats. I saw some hood bandits. And I saw all of that. And it saddened me because I'm like, as a black man that's now into his own and doing better and growing in so many different aspects of my life, and I'm seeing my life manifest in a way that I never even envisioned. But then I'm still kind of sad and burdened because I see my people who look like me, that's crying for respect and crying for and saying we got social injustice, but we can't even have festivals without some idiots fighting and screaming and behaving like what we don't like them to call us, which is animals. He said, and girls started it. Yeah, the fight. I saw that, Kevin. And I was going to post it, but I was like, nope. I'm not even going to give them a platform to even be seen because that's what a lot of them want. I just listen, I'm usually not at a loss of words, but when I saw that, I was like, wow, when is this going to end? My brothers and sisters, my black brothers and sisters, nobody's coming to help us. Nobody, not above or below. You said, well, God's going to help us. No, he's not. It's up to us. He gives us the strength. He gives us the knowledge. He gives us the wisdom. He places people in our paths, people like Kevin, people like Chris, people like myself, Cimarron, and all these other pastors that I respect and all these leaders that I respect. He put these people in places for a reason, and it's up to us to build. It's up to us to grow. It's up to us to take responsibility and accountability for the fools that do this stuff, and we don't say nothing. We know who they are. Some of you know who they are. It's up to us. And until we can see that, we're going to still be bottom dwellers. And no matter how much myself or Kevin or anybody else gets on here and try to encourage you to level up and do better, we're going to stay at the bottom until we grasp that painfully simple concept. That is just us. We need to build this. No other community is coming to help you. Nobody. It's time to stop this foolishness. And I'm willing to be a part of whatever you want to do to help stop it. If it requires me to drive to Milwaukee every week, I will. If it requires me, I'm always in Chicago when they doing these little things. A couple of these things I did, I don't charge. They want me to play. I don't care about playing. I want to be here I want to do the food giveaways. I want to do this stuff. But what am I giving a food giveaway if Ray Quanius is going to show up and start shooting up everybody? What are we going to do about that? That's the thing that frustrates me as an educated man. That's the thing. Because all my education can't stop Anquan from shooting. Only Anquan's mom and her dad and the people involved in that community can do that. Turn little Anquan in. I love you guys. Good night.